So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, in the city of White Castle on our way to Nottoway Plantation. I love these little small towns and the fire stations and the drugstores. Something about enjoying the peace of all that without the big box stores. I haven't seen a big box store in the last 15 miles. That's pretty doggone good in my book, because normally you see one of those things every 2 or 3 miles, Walmart or Lowe's or some derivation thereof. But it's been a while. All I see are a bunch of country churches, country stores, country people. So here I am on the approach to Nottoway Plantation. You can see the triangular sign up there on the right hand side in the distance. And we find ourselves on the actual grounds. At turn in, there were a couple of gardeners working around that sign, working on some flower beds. They hardly lifted an eyebrow to acknowledge me, so I just drove on in. It's gated, but there was no one at the gate. It seems, I didn't know it at the time, but it is closed. So I drove onto the property and tried to see if I could make any sense of it. And all I found were a few cars, probably of the workers who I saw milling about. And I selected one of these many empty parking spaces and parked my truck, and then just tried to go to the office here and see if I could find out what was going on. So yes, the office was in fact closed. The bed and breakfast was closed, the restaurant was closed, the gift shop and the guided tours all closed. So the weather being what it is, the skies being as blue as they are, I decided the best thing to do was to just drive my rig out to the front of this place and take a walk up the levee and park my truck on the service road and just turn my cameras on the facade of Nottoway and start taking some pictures and seeing how that would come out. Sometimes that's the best thing to do, is just kind of mill about on your own. So that's what I'm going to do. Let's see how this works out. On the west and south banks of the Mississippi River on one of the clearest but windiest days that we've had down here in the toe of the boot in quite a long time. The wind is blowing here, and out here in White Castle about 30 miles an hour. It's gusting that high. It's blustery, I like that, but it effectively sabotaged the audio portion of my video to the point where I had to lay down this voiceover. So as you can see, I parked my truck on the service road leading up to the top of the levee, and this presents a good opportunity to walk to the top and get a quick view of the level of the Mississippi River, which seems to be flowing pretty quickly downstream towards New Orleans. It's fast, but not yet swollen with winter's melt off from up north. And from where I'm standing on the top of the levee to the surface of the water is about 26 or 27 feet, which is typical. I love the brown waters of the Big Muddy. It holds so much mystery and mysteriousness. But that's not why we're here today. Today we're here to feast our eyes on perhaps the most beautiful and opulent looking plantation mansion in the deep south, in Louisiana for sure. So feast your eyes and look at that. About 200 feet from where I'm standing, you can take in all the splendor and extravagance of this well maintained mansion. That, my friends, is Nottoway Plantation. It is quite different from most of the surrounding mansions. Most of them feature Greek Revival architecture, but not this one. This is distinctive because of its Italianate style. Yes, it's still antebellum, because the word antebellum, remember, designates a time, not a style, like medieval and Renaissance times. Most of these antebellum River mansions were built between 1800 and 1860. And I think this marvel was built around the late 1850s, which makes this mansion approximately 260 years old. At its peak, some 150 slaves worked this plantation, according to my research, which, like most of the plantations in the region, this was a sugarcane plantation. And sugarcane, is a cash crop, easily grown and profitable. And Nottoway, the big house, by my estimation, is one of the largest antebellum homes in the South. As I recall, some 53,000 square feet, sitting on perhaps a couple hundred acres. Now, you would think that it would be featured in many Hollywood films, but that doesn't seem to be the case. When I was doing my research, looking up this commercial history, I could only find 2 movies and 1 documentary that featured this house. One movie, The Magnificent Seven, and the other was The Loss of a Teardrop Diamond. I did not see the first one, but I did see the second one. And although it was adapted from the legendary playwright Tennessee Williams, I must honestly say that it was quite a forgettable film. But the mansion was showcased, and it was exquisite. I'm sure it's been restored a few times to get it from where it was to where it is now. And as we do the math, we can see that it survived the Civil War, since it was built in the 1850s. And given the close proximity of most of these mansions to the river, some were not as fortunate as Nottoway and were damaged by overzealous gunboat officers. And of course, the history is always the black eye to these properties. We can never forget the toll of human subjugation and oppression. But, and stick with me here, let's just try for a minute to compartmentalize the beauty of the structure and the surrounding grounds, with its gardens of sweet olive trees and towering oaks and Natchez crepe myrtles. Just for a minute, imagine the romantic potential that this property possesses. Now, I know that Nottoway offers a Valentine's Day dinner. I don't know if it's true, but someone once told me that it also offers that Valentine's Day experience within a historical frame. I recall reading about one of the contestants of The Bachelor or Bachelorette being criticized for attending a function where modern-day women wearing Apple watches and Christian Louboutin heels also wore Victorian-style hoop skirts made from homespun cotton. I can easily imagine men in gray and black wool suits and tall hats and bow ties, all sounding like a scene from Gone with the Wind. Now, the sociological implications are what they are. Now, I mentioned that because there are always going to be prevailing sensitivities. Today, however, as we always do, let's just appreciate what's in front of us, irrespective of the Scarlett O'Hara and Rhett Butler imagery. And if you listen real close, you can almost hear the clippity-clop of horse hooves on the winding cobblestone paths going up the dirt roads to neighboring plantations. So while I came here today ready to take a guided tour, that wasn't to be the case. Like so many other plantation properties in this region, Nottoway, a glorious bed and breakfast, is just closed. Why? It could be COVID, or it could just be a business decision. Hurricane Ida, which wreaked havoc around this area, spared Nottoway. Yes, it's closed for general business, but it's open for special events like weddings and photo shoots. So I am deprived of the tour, but that's all right. Sometimes I just like to mill around the perimeter of the property for a couple of hours, unguided, on my own, then head back to the nearest small town, White Castle in this case, to find a small mine-pot restaurant offering a good home-cooked plate lunch of red beans, rice, and a link of smoked sausage. Remember, we're all about peace and tranquility on this channel, and there's nothing more relaxing than Aunt Alice or Mama Nora's lovingly placing a plate of warm beans and a bottle of crystal hot sauce on your table and turning the music down just a little bit so she can ask you about your day and convince you to stay a little longer and have a piece of lemon meringue pie. Yeah, all in good fun. Peace, tranquility, a slower pace, and lemon meringue pie. Well, this is Dr. B. I am your Creole Connection coming to you today from Highway 1 in a little town called White Castle. I don't know the history of this place and the name White Castle, but maybe, just maybe, it's a colloquialism for the curb appeal of the big white house of Nottoway Plantation. Stay healthy, my friends, and thank you for the privilege of your time. Thumbs up, and we'll catch you in the next video.